Let's see if you can spot a couple of errors in these two sentences on the board here. Let's start with the one on top. A threat to citizens throughout the state. We are taking action to curb the spread of Lyme disease. Take a look at that. Now the problem here is this beginning part, a threat to citizens throughout the state. That would have to be an appositive. It's outside of the main clause. You see it's separated by a comma. The main clause is we are taking action to curb the spread of Lyme disease. That's the heart of the sentence. But it has this appositive sitting right in front, and that means that the thing that follows the appositive has to be the thing that is a threat to citizens throughout the state. Namely, it would have to be Lyme disease. So if the sentence began this way, a threat to citizens throughout the state, you would have, the next words would have to be Lyme disease. So a threat to citizens throughout the state, Lyme disease is in our crosshairs as we attempt to curb its spread, or something like that. So the problem is that this sentence actually says that we are the threat to citizens throughout the state, because the appositive automatically renames whatever noun it is right next to. So this thing here is the problem. And this sentence is not ambiguous. It doesn't, it's not that we can't tell what it's trying to say. It's saying one wrong thing, namely that we are a threat to citizens throughout the state. Not that that is necessarily false. Maybe we are. But it isn't what they're trying to say. Let's look at this next sentence here. Having weighed all relevant factors, construction on the new dam will begin immediately. So take a look at that. Now, the problem here is that we don't begin with an appositive, we begin with a participial phrase that is standing outside the main clause. But if you begin this way, if you have a participial phrase outside the main clause, it automatically modifies the subject of the main clause. It's a little different from the appositive. The appositive doesn't necessarily always modify a subject, but it does modify the thing that it's right next to. Participial phrases modify the subject. So the problem is here that what has to happen next, if you begin with having weighed the relevant factors, is you have to have an entity that is capable of weighing relevant factors, namely a person. But what you get is construction. That is the subject of the main clause, is construction on the new dam. Well, construction hasn't weighed relevant factors. We have, or the board has, or somebody has. Actually, there's nobody mentioned in the sentence at all who could have weighed relevant factors. So the problem here is this participial phrase. Once again, as is the case above, this is not an ambiguous sentence. It simply says one thing that cannot be, namely that construction on the dam has weighed all the relevant factors.